Okay, let's do an example. We're going to draw a flowchart depicting a for loop and using Google Draw. And then in the next video, we'll actually do the implementation in Java of that for loop. So here's our assignment. Design a program using a flowchart to prompt the user to enter 5 integer values. And for each value, print a message saying if the integer is even or odd. Draw the loop using the elongated hexagon shape. We've seen this before in our code here. This is very similar to what we're writing. So we're not doing the running total here, but this is essentially our for loop. So we're going to go ahead and draw this a for loop only with our input. Instead of doing the running total, we're going to display if it's even or odd. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that example. Okay, using a flowchart. So I already have a Google Draw open here, so I'm going to go ahead and set my page setup to be 8.5 by 11. So it's equal to a page. And remember, I can adjust my font sizes here and my shapes so that it fits nicely on the page. Let me put a title on here. We'll call that example 6.01. Let's just make this look nice. Center it on the page. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to begin drawing. So I need to get some symbols. I need my start symbol, my begin. That's this little pill shape. Let's make it like that. Begin. Let's go ahead and change I'm going to make it transparent background, and I'm going to make this 11. Make that a little smaller. Okay, we'll just put it there. To begin with, and as usual, I'm going to draw all of the shapes, and then I'm going to put the connectors in at the end. So we're going to need a declarations box because we're going to want to declare a few variables. So we have a process box. Let's go ahead and make that transparent. And here we're going to say declare, and we're going to have an input value, which is going to be numeric. It's going to be an integer. Let's make that 11. So it fits all in one. I can zoom in a little bit if I need to here. Maybe we zoom in to 125%, just so we can kind of see. Let's try 100. How does that look? Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now we can still see the whole page, but we can zoom in a little bit so we can see what we're working on. Go ahead and maybe make this box smaller. Remember, I don't want to use a lot of white space here if I'm going to get everything on it. I'll clean it up once we get all the boxes on the page, and then we'll put the connectors in. So the next thing we need is we need some input and output. Well, we need to declare the for loop because remember, my problem is to 5 times ask the user to enter a value and then say if it's even or odd. So I'm going to need a for loop, and then inside the for loop, I'll do a display and an input. I'll prompt them to enter an integer. Then I'll do the input for the integer, and then I'll do a test to see if a condition statement to see if it's even or odd, and then I will print out a message, and then I'll redo the loop. So first thing we need in our program, in our flowchart, is the for loop. So that's the elongated hexagon, which is this one. Nope, that's not the right one. Oops, sorry about that. Elongated hexagon. It's one of these in here. Let's see. I know it's here. I'll find it in a second. Here it is. Elongated hexagon. Okay. Sometimes called a preparation symbol. Okay. So we can do that. So this is our prep symbol. We're going to give it a transparent background, and we're going to say for count equals 1 to 5. Okay. Let's go ahead and reduce the font size so it fits and line it up. Okay. All right, so now inside our for loop, I'm going to go out this direction for our for loop. I'm going to come out this way to do my processing, and then I'm going to come back into the for loop, and then we'll continue down at the end. So the next thing I have is some display. So I need parallelogram for those. This is input and output. Display, please enter an integer. Okay, let's make the box a little bigger so that everything fits inside. Okay. It's going to come out this way from the for loop. I'm just going to duplicate this box because I'm going to have an input now. I'm going to say input. We had declared that as calling numeric input, but let's call that number, just so that it's we're not using the same word in our flowchart. So I declared a numeric value. This will be integer, an int in our Java program. Here's my number. Here's my input. Line that up. Maybe move it up just a little bit. And then I'm going to do a test then. So to decide something is even or odd, we use something called a modulus function, which in Java uses the percent operator, and it essentially returns the remainder. So if I do number modulus 2 equals 0, then I know that the number is evenly divided by 0. Number modulus 2, if that's 1, then the remainder of that division is 1, and I know that it's odd. So to do that, we're going to need a decision shape right here. Decisions. We'll draw that in, and we're going to say if number modulus 2 equals 0, then we know that the number is even. Let's get that shape to fit. Make it transparent. Line it up. Okay. Now, if this is true, we're going to print your number is even, and if it's odd, we're going to come out this way and print that. So this will be we'll have a. Let me get my process box here. Nope, that's not a process. It's an output. We're going to duplicate that, bring it down here. Just line it up there, and this will say display. And we'll say we'll include the number. We'll say number, and then we'll concatenate that. And we'll say is even. Okay. And then we'll have one that comes out this way. This will be odd. And then we need our definitions here, our labels of our blocks. This will be true. And this one will be false. Oops, having trouble getting a hold of it there. And this will be false coming this way. Okay, let's make those smaller. They don't need to be such large font. We'll tweak those around a little bit when. Okay. So now, if it's false, we're gonna say it's odd, and then we're gonna come back up into the for loop. So from here, we'll exit and we'll come back into the for loop. Let's add one more step here, just for grins, and let's actually do a summation here. Let's do a running total. So let's go ahead and keep track of the total value of numbers. So with that, I want to declare a second variable. Declare numeric total. Okay. And then here, I'm going to do another process box. We'll put it down here. I can just move it using the arrow keys. And this will say well, you can use a summation here, total equals total plus number. Okay. So now we know that we're adding up the total. So this will be a running total. So we'll display that at the end of our code. This is done. We'll go back into the for loop, and then coming out of the for loop, we'll do a display, and we'll say display here, and we'll say display. We'll just display the total of the numbers. And we could count other things here. We're adding up the sum total, but we could keep track of the number of evens, the number of odds. Maybe we'll do that when we implement this in Java. We'll do some extra testing and some experimentation. So the total of the numbers is, and then we'll put total. So this way we calculated a running total. So now we could also do something like we know how many there are because we have the count here. We did it 5 times. So maybe we could calculate an average of the numbers. We could do something like that if we wanted to. We could really do whatever we want with that information because we've collected it in our loop. And then that's it. Then that's the end. So let's bring the end here. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay. And this will be end. Let's make that smaller. Let's that 11. Let's make our begin here 11 as well. Okay, so I think those are all the boxes. So now we can put the connectors in. So we begin, we declare our 2 values here. We then do our for loop. Here, 1 to 5, we're going to display the message. We're going to input the number. We're going to do a statement. We'll come out this way if it's true. We'll come out the bottom if it's false. We'll do our running total. And then from here, we'll go back into the for loop. Once the for loop is done, we will execute our our statement at the end, and then the program ends. Okay, so I think that's good. So let's put in the connectors. Let's start with the simple arrows here to here. Then the for loop goes into the decision, and then or into the output. We take some input. The input goes into the decision. The decision comes this way for true, comes this way for false. At the end of this, we come into there, and from here we'll need an elbow connector because once the true is ending, we're going to come in here. Okay. And then once our total is done, we're going to go back to the for loop. So here we'll do another elbow connector, and it'll come out here and go into our for loop here. We'll just connect it right there. And then once the for loop is done, we want to go back to our arrows, and we will come this way and this way. Okay. Let's see, that should do it. So let's zoom out just a little bit. Let's fit that. Let's see. Begin, declare the number. Here's your for loop. Come out the for loop. Execute this way. Do the decision. True. We do either one of these, but not both. And then we do the running total. We come back to our for loop. And then we display. So we could make this a little neater. We could make this box maybe a little bigger so that the numbers, so that these boxes don't touch. We should probably do that. Just move those over a little bit. Okay, so that could be, we could move these around a little bit, but I think this is probably good enough. We can just kind of, Okay, there we go. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Good enough. Okay, so in the next video, we'll actually implement this in Java.